Hello, welcome everyone who's listening in on YouTube and Spotify and possibly Facebook. This is Books Paranormal Podcast. This will be I think it'll be episode 5. And we are here with Karin from the Jamaica Inn in Cornwall. And she is the leader of the paranormal team for the Jamaica Inn, historian, and as she's just said, the weirdo. So, Karen, my first question for you would be for listeners who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what first got you becoming involved with the Jamaica Inn, really? And about the place, if you want to. You might as well get it all in one go.
Yes, so I count myself as very, very lucky, especially at my time of life, because I'm 60 now, though, like a lot of paranormal investigators with the mental age of a 10-year-old, because we're like kids
Yeah.
going out doing what we do. So 30 years ago, I was a tenant of a pub in the centre of Bristol, one of the original medieval streets, and it was extremely haunted. But I never knew paranormal investigators existed. And when you live with something you cannot see, it's surprising how you get used to it and then you don't get scared.
Okay.
And then, like a lot of people, when I left and I had my son, I became enthralled with Most Haunted. And, with a few friends, you start your own little paranormal team. You have no idea what you're doing. You
Yeah.
think dust particles are ghosts. And I was then very lucky to meet a lovely he's in his late 30s now, Kev Kerr, who sat me down and said, right, let's teach you about the science side. Let's teach you that not everything's a ghost about debunking.
Yeah.
And then that went on for a few years. And then I was chatting to a lovely lady called Amanda because Alan Jackson had just bought the Jamaica Inn. And she said, oh, he's forming his own paranormal team because up to then, anyone could hire it and run public nights, etc. So I joined her. And then I've been there practically 11 years since.
That's
And
a long time.
but as an investigator, it's such an honor
Hmm.
to represent such a well-known historic place, and it reignited my love of history. And also, you know it's a hidden thing. So everyone thinks, oh, it's a smugglers in, etc. There's so much more to it. There's so
Yeah.
many layers. And what is a ghost? Is a ghost a dead person?
Hmm.
We presume they are. We have no idea.
Exactly. If we knew that, we'd all be out of work, wouldn't we? We'd be out of the
Exactly.
job.
And when people say, well, how many ghosts are there? Well, my argument, okay, we have a set of the same ones, but
Yeah.
also we have other ones reported, but we don't know if they're exclusive to the Jamaica Inn, or perhaps it's Farmer George down the road who's popped in one night, gets
Yeah.
seen by
Just
someone, and
residual.
becomes one of their ghosts.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I find it interesting the fact that, like, obviously you've been there 11 years or so nearly, like you said. Do you think, I mean, I believe they kind of would, but do you think you get more interaction because the spirits or the ghosts, they know you or do they recognize voices? Do you think that's a thing? Or do you think, you know, it could happen to anyone? I'm getting my words mixed up. I know what I want to say in my head, but I can't think of the way to
Yeah.
put it. Do you know what I
So,
mean? Do you think they know
yeah,
you, basically?
perfect example. Many years ago, when we first started doing it, there was a lovely housekeeper, and she would see us on a Saturday morning. We'd do a public night on the Friday night, and she would look. Oh God, you've been here. They're going to start. And I said, what do you mean they're going to start? So in room 3, what would happen is they would clean the room, and then they would come back in 10 minutes. They would find little handprints over the mirrors.
All right.
She said, you've wound them up. You've got them
Oh,
going again. So to me, I started observing really intensely, and it's like we're the butt of the paranormal. We're the joke.
Yeah.
So, when something happens, it's a case of, are they bored? And as I say, to the guests and the investigators, we're the monkeys in the zoo, not the other way round. And if they don't like you, whatever it is, you will get nothing.
Yeah.
And we proved that when we came back after COVID, myself and Lisa happened to be staying in room 3. And that Friday night, nothing happened. We were like, because we don't make things up, and we were saying to the guests, really sorry, welcome to a night where
One of
nothing
those
happened.
things. Yeah.
We got into bed. 2 minutes later, tap tap on the side of my bed, tap tap on the side of Lisa, footstep up and down the corridor, and Lisa said, "You can cut that crap out now. You've had all night," and it just stopped.
Amazing.
It's
It's always
like
a way.
it's like your family, and it's like
Yeah.
the teasing and the playing of games.
So the investigations I've done over the years, and after speaking to a lot of people as well, you always find it's at the end when you're packing up, you're settling down. Or for us, I mean, my team, I don't know if you heard us in the past, we were Fright Night investigators, and we used to travel everywhere. And it's always, as soon as you press end on that live button, boom, it was kicking off. And that's when we packed up cameras and all sorts, and it's just unreal. It's like people. It really annoys me when people, you can say for the Jamaica Inn, for example, been there 5 times, nothing happened, blah blah blah. I'm like, they're not monkeys. Do you know what I mean? That you can't make spirit come out and play or whatever. If
I
they
mean,
if they want to, they will.
exactly. A few years ago, I hired Chin Castle and all the apartments for a
Okay.
private. Well, 3 days we were there, 3 days and 3 nights. I did not have anything paranormal happen to me. I stayed in the Lady Jane Grey. I didn't care because for me, it's the history of the place.
Yeah.
Yet another investigator, Rachel, went up to the King Edward's room, and because she has a bad leg, she said, "Right, I'll sit here and you come back after you've had a tour." So she sat there for 15 minutes in the dark looking at 2 mannequins. When her teammates came back, she looked back, there was one mannequin. And that
Right.
had happened to the lady in the office when she first started. She told me that after. So you imagine the ghost thinking, well, I'm staring at her.
Yeah. Nothing's
She's not
happening.
doing nothing. So it's the subtleties of it. It's subtleties of the
Mm,
Jamaica Inn. When you see a Christmas bauble go 3 foot out horizontally, pause, then drop down the Christmas tree.
yeah.
And there's 4 of us
That's mad.
watching it, and did we just really see that? And where's the CCTV camera? Facing the wrong way. Of
Yeah.
course it is.
Funnily enough, I was talking to someone today actually about a year, 15 year ago. I was a store manager for B&M bargains round by me, and the alarms went off one night. And I remember going up the shop because I lived near. Went in there, and there's just smashed bottles well, 2 smashed bottles on the floor in one of the aisles. Thought nothing of it. Checked around, locked up. Next morning, we checked the cameras, and it was like two in the morning. A glass bottle just came off the shelf, like kind of paused there for 3-4 seconds,
Mm,
dropped. And we sent these CCTV off to the head office and all that, and they just made out, they lost the footage. It was like it was totally blanked. But that's probably the most. It doesn't sound as good talking about it, but that's the best thing I've seen on camera, and that's before
yeah.
I was even really into doing investigations and stuff like that. But yeah, it's mad. Like you say, the best stuff always happens when there's no one else around to prove it with you. You got no cameras on, and I think even if there was 10 people with you and you had cameras, people still wouldn't believe, would they? Even if it's in front of their face.
Yeah, because the
Um,
early days of investigating, I used to take cameras, used to do EVPs, you spend hundreds of hours reviewing.
yeah,
I don't have the time now. I just go out, I expect nothing. If I have one thing that
yeah,
has me scratching my head, that's brilliant. But when you do it for a long time, you also you laugh at yourself because you'll see a full shadow figure walk past, and you'll say, "Oh, that's interesting." And that
Yeah.
excitement has gone because I miss when you first started that
The fear
initial little
factor. Yeah.
shriek, that sort of open mouth, because in January we had Kim as a new member of the team down, and we were doing a private hire. So Caroline McKendrick and her team was there, and Andy from Scry was there as well. And we were in the
Yeah.
lower restaurant, which is a modern extension. The lights were off except for the lights by what we call the breakfast bar. And we're sat in a sort of half moon booth. And I'm chatting to Kim, and suddenly I just see her stop and her mouth open and nothing come out. And I think she's seen something. And she saw by the curtains a little boy's face come out, smile at her, and go back. Just like
Yeah.
that.
That,
How
I suppose that
lovely
brings you back
is
to
that?
when you was on about, when you're in, I can't, sorry, I forgot the lady's name. When you was in bed getting to sleep and you heard this runging around, and then you said, "Oh, stop it now." So it could
That's
have been,
these,
it could be
yeah,
children. Is
yeah,
it children in there? Have you worked out
yeah,
yet?
yeah. But there's two that we affectionately call Elizabeth and Tommy. We don't know if that's their names.
Yeah.
There's probably more children, but they're the most. I've seen Elizabeth. She was my first ghost. A late Victorian Edwardian girl with a grey dress, a white oversmock, beautiful long blonde curly hair. And I've got reports going back over 30 years of the
Yeah.
same child. The
Been
only thing
spotted.
that varies is the colour of her dark dress.
As in, like, some say it's white, some say it's grey, black. Do you mean?
Yeah, so the grey dress might be a brown dress, but the long
Yeah.
blonde curly hair always stays the same.
Strange, isn't it? I was talking to someone on the podcast last week, and he was on about that. He saw like a similar type of image. He had, black dress, and other people said it was white. And we was on about how everywhere you go, there's always a lady in white, a lady in grey, a lady in black. It's always like that, isn't it? No matter where you go, it's a pub, castle, whatever, they've all
Yeah,
got them. And he was saying, well, yeah, but Dale, if you think back, that was the colours of the clothes, wasn't it? It was all black and all white, I suppose, back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
So it
You
does
had
make
a
sense that you would always see it.
white night dress.
I mean, I was going to say as well, what was the very first unexplained experience you personally had there? But you just mentioned it was. I'm guessing it was that lady,
The little girl, and I was
little
there.
girl.
I was a member of the public at the time, but I've had so many over the year. I stayed in room 5 with a friend of mine, and we had the footsteps going around from one side of the bed to the other. But it wasn't heavy like a man's footsteps. It seemed more sort of
Gentle.
woman.
Yeah,
But she was walking on floorboards, even though there's thick carpet. And we also had, at the time, you had a different catch on the bathroom door.
yeah,
And it was like someone was playing with the catch. And it happened to Richard Felix when he stayed there filming with Most Haunted. So,
yeah,
it's nice that when you have these reports, you can correlate it and think, right, I've had half a dozen of this one. So this gives it credence that this is real from
yeah.
their perspective.
I mean, I'll share that episode out. 'Cause I'm sure I've watched it years ago, but it'd be interesting
Yeah,
to watch again. Now, obviously, you did say in the email we spoke last week that you've worked with quite a few TV shows and celebrity people that have come to the Jamaica Inn.
yeah.
How does that compare to like a public event or your own investigations? Do you find they're picking up a lot more, or uh, is there any
It's it,
difference?
it's really weird because one of the funniest was the Freddie Flintoff. Um, um, was it? It wasn't Lord of the Fries. It was his second series. And people have to realize there is a difference in entertainment TV.
Yeah.
um, same as Most Haunted, and
Mhm.
it is stated for entertainment purposes. There's no disrespect against the people involved with them in any shape or form.
Yeah.
It's whoever commissions it demands they want a certain type of activity. But with Freddie Flintoff, he didn't know that he was the test subject because he's actually scared of the dark. He is scared of the dark since a child, and the producer said to us, scare the bejeebus out of him. So nothing paranormal happened. And even when I gave him the keys to room 5, I said, you're staying there. He was so scared, he got Rob Penn to sleep on the floor next to him.
Can't
But
believe
he
I've
was
not
an
seen that.
absolute joy because he was scared. It was quite funny.
Yeah, which is what they wanted, obviously, for the
It
show as well.
exactly, it's good TV. And then obviously the big difference is when you're involved, as I am with the Supernatural UK as a producer, where you're looking for real things. You're not looking, like the rest of us. If something happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it
Yeah,
doesn't. But there's no theatricals or acting or faking.
yeah,
And that's a nice difference. But even on public nights, it depends on the people. We had one lady. Now, I don't believe personally you can send ghosts on. I'm not saying I'm right, but
mhm,
we had a lady who said she was a medium, and she commanded her group that she was with.
mhm,
And we were, I think she was doing the planchette or something like that. So I came in to say it's break time, and she said in front of everyone, she said, "Oh, I've sent Mary down into the light." Mary Down is one of our famous ghosts, and I don't believe in it, but also, if you are a true medium, you should, if it distresses you that much, speak to the venue, ask permission
as you
first.
would in someone's house as well. Yeah,
Exactly. So I just looked at her. I said, "Well, don't worry, my darling. She'll be back next week. Shall we have a
yeah,
break and have a cup of tea?"
yeah. And lo and behold, she was back next week.
Of course she is.
Yeah,
Of course she is. It's like, why would a ghost haunt a 10 by 10 room? If
yeah.
ghosts are real, they can go anywhere. Surely.
Hmm.
Why don't, if you go to the same place, I go to Woodchester Mansion a lot, 2 to 3 times a year. Well, why can't someone go with me to another place and think, oh, what's she doing? It
Yeah,
wouldn't bother me in the slightest.
no, I'm the same. I mean, I'm not going to delve into it, but thoughts on mediumship.
I've got friends that are mediums.
Yeah,
Lisa in the team, she doesn't call herself a medium. She's a psychic. She's
right.
amazing. But again, I want to experience it. It's like when people say about evil, I don't believe in evil or demons. I have to experience these things to understand and for me to say is true, because I have no religious belief.
Yeah,
Perhaps they're allergic to me, or they've seen me naked and they've run out of room.
that's it. I mean, like I say, I've always been brought up being told you got more to worry about the living than you have the dead, and that's how I've
Exactly.
always seen it. What was I going on to next? Has there been a moment at the Jamaica Inn, in particular, that has generally frightened you, like scared you? I know you said before you had all these stories and you seem quite
Mm.
positive about them, but has there been something where you've been scared over the 11
I
years?
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I think we always have that fight and flight instinct in us. And the interesting thing is you can walk into the museum, because I walk around in the dark on my own,
So it's
no problem.
it's a museum as well, is it?
There's a museum, there's 2 museums.
Oh, okay.
It's a
I
big
think you did
place.
mention.
There's a gift shop, there's the attic. Yeah, it's like a TARDIS from the outside. You think it's small, but it's absolutely massive.
It's still a pub though, isn't it?
No, it's a 36 bed hotel.
How long's that been like that? Because I'm sure someone told me they've been there for a point. Has that been a
Yeah,
long time?
so you have the old part, and then so like when we do the private hire, there are 10
Yeah.
bedrooms in the old part. Every bedroom has a paranormal story,
All right.
but there's the 4 famous haunted bedrooms. So when we do the private hire, we say, right, have a sleepover event because most people got to travel a long way. And then when the bar and everything's shut, the rest of the hotel is past reception. So those 19 investigators are the only one in that area, the bars, the upper lower restaurants, the attic. So you've got contamination free area to work with. And that's the only way to do that place justice. When we had ghost trip investigators come down, I don't know what it was with them. Whatever haunts it, loved them.
Is
And
that
they,
is that them two, the two lads?
the two lads, Adam and Dan.
He's got tattoos, a lot of
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I'll watch a few of their stuff, yeah.
And I mean, very, very nice lads. I mean, obviously, we get
See
the
it.
big YouTubers come down as well, but for some reason, the the children, if you want to call it, things happened around them, and I know it wasn't fake because I was there, and it was amazing. And since they've been, it's like the children have picked up. Gemma from the team walked through Mary's bar and heard a child laughing and giggling at 1 a.m. Absolutely freaked her out.
Wow.
But then you find it goes quiet. So
But they need that energy
it's
to
weird. So I'll walk in the museum, say at midnight, I walk around, I'm totally fine. I'll go back 5 minutes later, and it feels like there's someone behind you, all your shackles go up, and I know, and I think, no, I'll walk properly because I do. And I say, look, if you're behind me, fine, but don't get too close, please. And you could really, it's like you want to run out.
yeah, I've had that feeling a few
Yeah,
times.
but I won't do it. Well, I can't run,
So,
not with my knees.
I find when I get that type of feeling, it's almost like someone's towering over me, not
That's
touching
yeah,
me, but imagine like their hands coming over my shoulder like that. That's how it feels, like I'm being wrapped up
it
a little bit.
because we have a personal space, and it's like they're in your personal space, and it's quite a
Mm.
bizarre feeling.
Okay, so just jumping back onto like the public events and that side of it, I've got a few
Mm.
things that I wrote down. Um, so what kind of reactions do guests normally give you during paranormal investigations and the events, feedback wise? Do you find that they're all like, yeah, they all saying the same sort of thing, like, yeah, I can't believe we saw that lady in this room. Is it always one particular thing they're talking about, one particular area? Do you
No,
find?
because people say, "Where's the most haunted area?" Well, every year it changes. The most haunted room. One
Yeah,
year, room 6 will be a highlight, then room 5. And we get a lot of couples. So the wife is normally into it, and the husband, I don't believe in it. I said, well, I'm a skeptic. He said, how can you be a skeptic? I said, a skeptic isn't a disbeliever. It's
yeah,
just that you've seen so
proving it.
many things. You want to know the whys and the whos behind it now.
Yeah.
And if something happens, then you want to understand why and not just accept it as blind belief.
Do you find that most of these skeptics that come to the Jamaica Inn leave with a different perspective?
No, because sometimes nothing will happen. As we say to the guests, we're the ones that have to put the effort in. And just
Yeah,
imagine that my attitude is you're in someone's house. So say the chap who built it, Captain John Broad, say he does haunt it, which we believe, but again, we can never prove anything. You wouldn't go up to him and say, hey, mate, can you do this? He was a sea captain. He would have been awarded the respect that he
mm,
had being in charge of a merchant ship, a merchant brig. So I always say, Captain Broad, sir, because the English have our class system, we have our manners, and we wouldn't speak to someone of authority in a disrespectful way, especially in the late 1700s.
yeah.
And you would say, Captain Broad, why did you choose this place? Why did you build it of your own expense but never own it? That's why
What?
I think it was a front for
So do
smuggling.
you know the story behind that then? Like, is there
Yeah.
any? Does anyone know like why he actually built it? Like officially?
So when a beautiful, wonderful historian called Dr. Leslie Trotter, when Alan Jackson had it, he wanted to know more about the Jamaica Inn because we thought it was built in 1750. We had a timeline. We thought that's it. She
Yeah.
blew it all out the water. absolutely out the water. And I was so chuffed because I had things that she didn't have. And I mean, she is an academic. I'm just passionate. But when you combine us and Will Swell, who represents the coaching group who bought it, when you put it all together, it's a fascinating story. But I like to know the people behind the name.
Yeah.
So with Captain Broad, when you look at the Jamaica Inn, there was nothing there before. No village, no building, just an old Roman track, an old pilgrim track, if you want to call it. And the Bodmin Moor was owned by the gentry, like lots of places. So Captain Broad was away at sea. He had a kingsman called Thomas Hook take out a tenancy on some land. And soon as he signed it over to Captain Broad. Now,
Okay.
next to that land was land owned by James Scarwin. And this is where I think Captain Broad must have known him because he never signed a tenancy. It was a handshake agreement. That doesn't make sense. And he had to hedge in 20 acres of land and turn wild moorland into farming land because it was built originally as a farm. So the cost of supplying the materials to build a large dwelling house, stabling, and
Yeah.
haylofts, where did the Captain Broad get his money from?
Yeah.
And then he
Must have
had
been
to
worth it.
pay 5 shillings a quarter rent. Who builds a house and never owns it unless there's something in it for him? And in the next 10 years, he also bought more land. He became a tenant of a clay farm called the Dry Works around the corner. So when the Jamaica Inn became the Jamaica Inn by 1784, when the toll road was built and they then would change the horses from Launceston to Bodmin, it wouldn't have made enough money for all this. So there must have been smuggling. And as I say to people, I had a pub 30 years ago. I had things go through my pub. Every local pub had
Yeah.
things go through them. You went to your local pub, and one day everyone's walking out with new trainers off the back of a lorry.
Good old days. Yes.
I never paid for my perfume. I had a very friendly Irish chap who used to get me Chanel from Debenhams.
Enough. Especially at
Clothes,
Christmas.
except, you know, so this cottage industry, everyone did it in the pub trade.
Yeah.
I even, before I was allowed to sell blackthorn, I used to sneak it in barrels and sell it on the sly because Bristolians wouldn't drink Bournemouth cider; they had to drink blackthorn. So, when you look at pubs, and also when he died, it seemed to all go to pot, and his sons had to take out mortgages on some of his land that he bought. So that tells you that whatever he did,
Hmm.
either he was well respected and no one stood on his toes, or he was a very good businessman.
Makes you wonder if anything's still on that land. Like, did he bury stuff on the land, and he had all that space and that
Right.
good stuff.
I'll tell you one of my conspiracy theories. So when Captain Broad married again, he married a woman called Frances Glanville or Granville. And I thought, oh, what's a local church? The local church is the nearest village, Altenham, and the church is an amazing church. The Church of England will tell you every vicar back to the 1500s who presided in parish churches. So I thought, okay, let's look up who did he marry. Hang on, that wasn't a vicar, it was a curate. A curate is the one down from a vicar.
Okay.
And this chap's name was James Benito. That's got an Italian surname, yet he's Cornish. Let's look him up. So within 2 years of being at this little parish church, James Benito became a domestic chaplain. Now, a domestic chaplain is like a teacher at the court of the Prince of Wales, the future George IV. How Money
Yeah.
or influence? He was only there a few months. So when you talk about smuggling, everyone was involved, from Justice of the Peach. Even Captain Broad's daughter-in-law's son was a customs man. Imagine Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
That must have been good. So when Daphne du Maurier came to the Jamaica Inn the second time in November 1931, she had afternoon tea with the vicar then of Altrincham, the Reverend Charles Triplett. And then I looked up his history. Now, he was born in Falmouth. So as a boy, he must have been told stories of smugglers, etc., by the old boys, as you did. My great auntie told me wonderful stories. Now, Daphne du Maurier's book, Jamaica Inn, made the Vicar of Altrincham the mastermind behind the smuggling. Was there some truth? Because there's no tunnels underneath the Jamaica Inn, it's solid granite. Where would you hide goods in plain sight? A church or a vicarage?
Mm-hmm.
And Captain Broad's youngest son looked after the pub, the King's Head, in Altrincham as well. So you have got a network going out towards Devon then.
I used to watch a lot of like Viking programs and all stuff like that, and you find like the old churches back in the day. They always had stashes under the church, and that's where all the treasures and that were kept. So I suppose it would be a
So
good
how
hiding
did
spot.
this lowly curate in 1780s, how did he end up at the court, the royal court of the future King of England? Come on, there's got to be something in there.
Yeah. Oh, so I could listen to stories like that all day. It just gets your mind going, doesn't it?
But again, that's it. So, you know, the Leslie Trotter Real Swear, they do the amazing job on the history. And then I come in and I want to find out about this name. There's another one. So the 1870s, Jamaica Inn became, people could sort of lodge there, like rent a room.
Yeah.
And there was one chap called Charles Brandon. Charles Brandon. No, I think it's Charles, but it's gone out the top of my head now. But anyway, on the census, he's 41 years of age. He's listed as a former, what was it? A former Deputy Paymaster General, Her Majesty's Royal Navy. And I thought, what's this about? So I looked him up, and this bloke, when he joined Her Majesty's Royal Navy, when you think it was the biggest navy in the world,
Yeah.
our empire had a third of the entire landmass. He sailed the seven seas. He wore a blue and white uniform. He also was on so many ships. One of them, HMS Leopard, there's an actual postage stamp with the ship that he served on. And I know in 1910 he was living in Launceston and he died in 1911. And he never married. So I'm not saying this man haunts the Jamaica Inn, but we had one guest who saw this shadow of a man with this uniform come over him in room 5, freaked him out. And he looked up on the internet and he said he was wearing this. Well, I didn't connect it at the time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm again, it's very easy to claim, oh, all these ghosts haunt this place, but you've got to have more than one paranormal report. You've got to have substance to it. So all these people that
Of
had
course.
lived
Yeah.
and died there, they all had these amazing individual histories, and there was a lovely lady. So Captain Broad's oldest son, James, I have a photo of his grandson as an old man in the 1920s living in Canada. And I bet he had no idea how famous his grandparent and great-grandparent was.
Until
That's,
makes me want to
that's
get
what
down there
makes it
next.
so exciting. It's one pub with this amazing history, and we have hundreds and hundreds of similar pubs waiting for all this history to
Be
come out.
found out. Thinking you could just pop back in time and ask a few questions there.
Exactly. I always said that when I die, I'm going to haunt it. And if it's true, I will be going there. And if I can see them, I say, right, sit down. I have all these questions I want to know the answers to. Because
Yeah.
myself and Lisa were actually writing the book, the Jamaica Inn book. So we're doing the history, the folklore, and the paranormal.
I was,
And
I
you
was
can
just I was
imagine
just going to say to you, you should write
so
a book.
much.
We'll let you know.
So much to put in there because even the folklore, there's a window upstairs. As you go upstairs in the old block, opposite room 7, there's a square window, and there's two amazing folklore stories. So the first one is you put a candle in the window, which then overlooks on the moorland and the highest hill on Bodmin called Brown Willie.
Hmm.
And it was first lit as a say the coast was clear, so there were no customs men. Then the other folklore was a landlady was having an affair and she would put the candle up to say if it was all clear. These are amazing little folklore stories.
Yeah. Because it all came from somewhere, so something was right at the time. Do you know what I mean? That's why I
Yeah.
love it.
And then there's another chap who contacted us years ago and said the Jamaica Inn, you've the real history of the Jamaica Inn, which I think is a brilliant folklore. He said the former landlord had a barrel of fruit that was going off, so he turned it into jam, boiled it up, and people would go to the jam maker in to get their jam. It's just a
Well,
wonderful, wonderful little folklore story.
I say I love folklore stuff because I always describe it as like Chinese whispers because something started off correct and it's just
Yeah.
expanded over the years. But that's why it's so good to listen to them because
And
it all
also,
happens something.
we've had people that lived there in the 1950s. Dawn gave us a tour of the Jamaica Inn, explaining the layout as it was when she lived there from 1959 to 1969.
Wow.
And room 5 was her bedroom.
Did she have like experiences and that in there?
Well, she didn't really say about that because I've spoke to the great nephew of the chap Bert Horror who lived there in the 30s. I've got to interview him because the paranormal reports at the moment, I can only go back to the 1950s. And I interviewed a wonderful lady who was born there. And
Okay.
the stories, her mum loved the place during the day, but hated it at night. And one of the ghosts, which seems to have gone, is a ghost who would go into the bedroom of people, fold their clothes up neatly, put them at the end of the bed. Where's that ghost? And it was the first sighting of the man with the green cape that walked through one afternoon
Yeah, I
to the
could do one of them
surprise
ghosts here
of
myself.
the staff.
It's mad. So many stories. I mean, after being there 11 years nearly, like you said, um, at such like an active location, how has your view on the paranormal evolved itself? Do you think before that time you were into the paranormal, but not as much, or do you think you're like 1,000 times more of a believer now after being there and
What
experiencing so
this,
much?
this is the weird thing is that you you're more skeptical as time goes on,
Yeah,
even though you
yeah,
witness things, because you'll never get to that 100% proof.
no,
I,
no,
I've always said that if I could sit down with my late father and see him and have a conversation, then I would believe.
yeah,
But that will never happen. My friend Bev, who's a medium, every now and again she'll say, "Oh, your father's here." But what she says is his personality, which is amazing. And she'll say, "Stan, she doesn't believe me. Show her for God's sake."
yeah,
So who knows?
yeah. I love stuff like that. So when I talk about so I don't get into it too much. I'm talking back about mediumships and all that. Even the ones which let's say do it for entertainment purposes only, as long as they're giving someone that bit of making them feel a
Mm.
bit better about themselves, and I'm not even bothered if it's a lot of it's fake. I'm really not. As long as they're not like I'll get muddled up my words when I start thinking about all these stories talking around in my head now.
Yeah.
But as long as they're not deceiving someone and pulling on heartstrings and stuff like that, I think
It's
belief is good.
it's
In a
really
bit of
hard. You see it, again, we'll get people down at the inn, and you'll have, as I always say, whether you're a medium or a skeptic, any
yeah,
information is information, which has to
exactly.
be taken on board. And we had one chap down once, and he said, "Oh, I can go into trance if you want." Now, I'm fascinated. I sat in a circle for a year and a half, not psychic at all. I tried. I tried so
Yeah,
hard. Um, but he went into a trance, and he wasn't theatrical. I liked him. He was more believable in
yeah.
that sense. But again, where's the proof? And he supposedly had Captain Broad who built it. So I was asking trick questions, but it wasn't enough to convince me. But he was such a lovely guest. It was still
hmm
fascinating to experience it.
No, I've done a few things like that in the past myself, and I think, like you say, it's experience. It's nice to be there, and
Yeah.
even if it's not working for you, you see like other people around it seems to be working for them, or is it just them believing that it's working for them? Either way, if it makes someone feel better,
I
no
think
problem.
that what the thing about the Jamaica Inn convinced me that why have ghosts got to be scary, because
Hmm.
the character that we call Jack, we have no idea who he is. He lies. He'll tell you he was shot, stabbed, or hung. He'll tell you he's a 5-year-old child. And it's the humor. 1 year on command, 4 times on command, he got bored then. We would put guests at another part of the Jamaica Inn with a walkie talkie and a blindfold. So they had no idea what we were asking Jack in the bar to do. One chap on command had his right buttock grabbed, and he said, "I could feel the thumb digging in." There was another chap, he said, "I went to punch someone. I'm in the bar looking at the sign." He said, "And someone grabbed my right buttock." He said, "And I had my fist clenched to turn around and hit him." He said, "And I was alone." And we then did it 4 times. He did it over the course of a year, and then it stops, never happened again. But I can't debunk that, because the person had no idea what we were saying. The walkie-talkie was just for emergencies, so they couldn't hear us.
Yeah,
And even he did it to women as men. He's an equal opportunities prankster. That's what I say.
it's things like that that you can't, like I say, you can't deny. You can't deny. There's got to be something there
But
to,
it's the
you can't debunk it.
humor. It's an absolute humor that I love. And whether you believe in Ouija boards or not, I mean, I don't believe in them. I do them for fun. I don't believe
Mhm.
they're evil. But again, we're all different. If we were all the same, life would be boring.
I was on a Black Country local radio show a couple of weeks back, and we was on about the Ouija board on that as well. And I was saying, yourself, I've done so many. I've never had nothing follow me home. I've never had nothing bad happen. I've had good responses.
Mm,
Um, and this is like with just me and one other person that I fully trust, and that we wouldn't have lied about certain things. So I've had really good responses. Um, but yeah, I don't believe that they're like evil and that. I'm always wary. I'm always skeptical because of like going back to these stories that you hear. They get spread on throughout the years. Like my granddad at the time, he might have done the Ouija board. It might have fell off the table. 10 years
yeah,
later, he'll remember that story of it falling off the table and the curtains flying open. 10 years after that, you remember that happening and the window smashed as well. And
yeah.
it progresses over time, doesn't it? But, yeah,
Well, as I
I
said
still
to
believe they should be
people,
used right and
yeah,
respectful.
it's if
Okay.
you're blindfolded, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So if ghosts are pushing it, they don't need our eyes.
Mhm.
But I love doing a board.
So
It take everything with a pinch of salt. Like all the equipment, there's no proof
yeah,
anything detects ghosts. But sometimes things will happen, and you think, well, hang on, this scenario shouldn't act
yeah,
out
should
like,
link up.
and that's the gems.
So I
I
got
was filming a little while ago. We were so lucky to get into Bristol Old Vic Theatre, because I do BBC Radio Bristol once a month, and Joe, the breakfast presenter, who's an amazing actor as well, he got us in
Okay.
film, and we're, you know, as a Bristolian, this was my dream come true. It's the oldest still working theatre in the world, the Bristol Old Vic, and it was remarkable. And I'm sat in a pew where we're filming, and this smell of perfume. Now, they say it's a smell of lavender you get. It wasn't lavender, it was just 10 seconds of as if someone had walked past,
Mm.
you know, that beautiful, and I'm there like, I can smell perfume. And you think, I can't prove this, but I'm not lying to the camera. Honestly, I can smell it. It was fantastic. And they heard footsteps up in the gods, and they went up and checked, and there was no one there. And
That is it. Like a lot of people you find, they say with the smells, they always smell cigar smoke or cigarettes and stuff like
yeah,
that. I always find it's coffee. I don't know why. I could be in like an abandoned place and hired
yeah.
venue. I always smell coffee before something happens.
We
So,
get it at the museum. We get the smell of the great unwashed.
okay, it's
For if you,
nice.
you know, that's mixture of earth and
Yeah,
yeah, you definitely need a
a
bath.
Viking
Yes,
smell.
yeah, that happens occasionally.
I mean, before we wrap up, really, for anyone wanting to visit the Jamaica Inn, what advice would you give them?
So, you know, as is a 36-bed hotel, you know, if people want to do the paranormal, obviously there's the public nights, and we run it as an investigation, and we are very, very honest about expectations,
Yeah,
about, you know, the truth of it. Now, if you wanted to hire it for the paranormal, it's not cheap. That's why we say about doing team shares, or sometimes if it's 2 or 3 people at a time, we'll put everyone together on a night,
yeah,
and then you go off into your little areas. Um, but if you come and stay, you can investigate your bedroom, but that's it. And I don't see the point.
hmm
If you want to do it, you know, there's nothing better than at 2
do it
a.m.
properly.
sitting in the lower restaurant where you can hear a pin drop and just watching.
That's it. I'm like you. Like I say, it's a place I go to. If things don't happen, it don't bother me because I enjoy the place, getting photos, getting
Yeah.
videos, and the history behind stuff, especially the older buildings. And if people did want to book up, is it
They
just through Facebook or?
Yeah, if it's for private hire, it's ghost hunts at jamaicainn.co.uk. I deal with that. If it's to do on a public night, then ring reception. But you know, we get a lot of foreign telly. So we recently had German telly, and being half German, it
Yeah,
was hilarious. I was sent a clip of myself and Craig being dubbed in German. My mum was disgusted because she said I should speak it fluently,
yeah.
but nothing paranormal happened. And they were so funny. My auntie and my cousin in Germany could watch me say on camera, they asked, you know, what scares you? I said, not ghosts. The only thing that scares me is my German mother. And they kept it in the show because I took her out today. She's 98 years of age.
Wow,
You do.
some going.
I know. Built to last. Wurstbrunn Technic.
Man. I think I'll be reaching out to you at some point this year and trying to get down there myself at some point and
Yeah,
join one of these public
we've
events. I
got
think.
the thing is our private hires sell out a year in advance. I'm
Mhm.
doing one for everyone September next year.
Okay.
You know, for you know, for the smaller teams, because it does go crazy. I had about 4 emails in the last 2 days, and it's, you know, it's like Shepton Mallet prison, you know, that's £1,200 to hire, and people say, oh, it's too expensive. But if
Yeah.
you get enough people and you organize yourselves, you all get to enjoy it.
So I think it's about the same because I'm just over the road from me. It's Dudley Castle.
Mm.
Now I've been there loads of times. Never on the paranormal thing.
What's her
Uh,
name? Is it Liz, the lady who looks after us? Her history knowledge is amazing.
I'm not too sure of that.
The lady with the
Very-
short hair.
I don't know. Look, so I've never been there on a paranormal thing. It's just been, because
Oh,
it's a zoo as well. So I've
it
been
was
all around it. But
brilliant to investigate. I love it.
I got opposite the road, over the road. You got the Station Hotel. I've done that a few
Yeah.
times. The Black Country Museum. That's brilliant. If you've never been there,
Oh,
that's
it was
it's all. We've got a lot around this area.
near Wolverhampton. There was the Tudor buildings. Is it Bromwich?
You got West Bromwich, West Brom.
Um, yeah, it's a museum, but it's all Tudor buildings
I'm
together. I
trying to
forgot
think.
what it's called because friends of ours hired it, and I had an amazing EVP because one of the owners was a Puritan, and I said how I hate Cromwell, and I do a
Yes,
dialogue, and there was a man's raspberry voice at the end saying something not very nice because obviously I was a royalist.
what's that called now? It ends in Hall. It's something Hall. I'm
Yeah,
sure it is.
yeah, it's
I know what you mean.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But then,
Yeah,
as I said to people, they say, "Why do you do it?" I said, "You hire a castle." We filmed last year. It'll be out in the next month or so. 2 nights at Warwick Castle.
been there a few
We
times.
we
Yeah.
had Warwick Castle for the four of us to ourselves filming, and just to be in the bedrooms, to have the access that we did. The staff were so nice to us. I had a stinky cold. I was so ill, but it was surreal.
Yeah.
And there were some weird things that happened.
Ludlow's a good one as well. Ludlow Castle.
Oh,
A really
yeah.
good one.
But
Um,
in this country, we are so lucky with our heritage.
yeah.
And also I advise a place outside Bristol called the Warmley Clock Tower, and it's through the paranormal hire that's kept the doors open, so we can do good for
Mhm.
venues. How many museums do paranormal hire, and that income helps them
Yeah.
for future
Good look after.
generations?
That's why we're quite lucky around here to have the Black Country Living Museum, because they do move these buildings brick by brick, and it's another
Yeah.
city. But yeah, it's really good. But yeah, Karen, thank you for obviously jumping on. And is there anything you want to say, or anything shout out anything before
No, just
you go?
thank you so much for having me. It's very, very kind of you to let
No, I
me
appreciate you
rattle on.
coming on. But if we're getting a lot of comments on the YouTube video or on Spotify asking you questions yourself,
Oh,
maybe we get
oh,
you on
come
again
on.
in the
Yeah,
future. Yeah, we get
yeah,
you on again in the future, but maybe do a Facebook Live and get people to comment there and then.
yeah. Yeah, like I
No,
say, there's so much history, and we haven't even touched on World War II.
no.
That place, Jamaica Inn, World War II. Mm.
Oh, there you go, folks. There will be a part two at some point. Part two for World War Two. But yeah, thank you for listening in on Spotify and YouTube. Thank you, Karin, for joining us, and we shall see you again. Well, thank you.